Our next speaker brings a wealth of experience in translating visionary educational portraits into practical, scalable practices that drive real impact for children. Allow me to welcome Mr. Todd Hellman, the Vice President and the Chief Finance Officer at Battelle for Kids. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Good afternoon. Can you guys hear me okay? Yes. Okay. Thank you so much for having me here today. I am extremely humbled to be here amongst all of you, learning with and from you. And I hope to share some strategies of things that we have learned over the decade of doing this work, or more than a decade. I took some notes this morning as I heard many of the speakers. There are many common themes that we will reinforce in what we have today, because sometimes you have initiatives that overcomplicate things, or there's too many things to focus on. And I have seen a tremendous amount of congruence in the conversations and the presentations that we've seen here today. So I'm going to start this off by two little symbols. One is the English ampersand, and I am told by Google Translate that this is a symbol in Arabic for the word and. I want you to continue to think of this word, this symbols for and, as I continue this conversation. First, let me set an understanding of something that we value at Battelle for Kids, and this is a statement that says the primary aim of education is not just to enable students to do well in school, but to help them do well in the lives they live outside of school. Now, I am working on my wait time, but I know Sharif's going to wave at me, so I'm going to go forward. Thinking fast and thinking slow. Nobel Prize winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman wrote that book. And so I want you to take a minute and continue to think about this statement, because if the aim is to help kids do well in school, what do they do after school and outside of school and beyond school? So let me ask a question of you. Is every student in your school mastering essential academic knowledge and the durable skills for the future? So when I grew up in the United States, in rural Indiana, we talked about the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Now, only one of those words starts with an R. However, today, we talk about the content mastery and these durable skills, 21st century skills, competencies, whatever words you like to use. We're starting to call them durable skills because they last beyond a program, they last beyond a curriculum, they last beyond a technology. These are skills that should last a lifetime, such as content mastery, intellectual curiosity, creation, creating something with the knowledge and skills you have. We're not talking about the 3 R's anymore. We're talking about the 4 E's. That's enrollment in college or post-secondary education, enlistment in service, military, government, or social service, entrepreneurship. I've got 3 E's there, I think. So I'm going to move on so that I don't stumble further. So when we talk about the durable skills and occupations, we have this graph. We helped develop the portrait of a graduate for the state of North Carolina for the education system. The Department of Commerce entered partnership with the Department of Education to say, what are these doable skills and how important are they, and how do they impact careers and earnings? Now, this chart was originally in US dollars. I converted it to dirham so that we could just have a conversation. So skills, jobs and occupations where skills were somewhat important on average earned around 134,000. Where they were very important, they earned around 410,000. Now, as an economist and a finance person from the University of Chicago, I ask questions like, what's the lifetime value of those earnings and what's the impact that that can have? So if we look at those people's starting salaries, career demands, 3% raises, 40 years, the lifetime earnings of someone in a job where the skills are only somewhat important was 10.1 million, and where they were very important was 39 30.9 million for a difference of 20.8 million. Now take that for a second and think about that. That's 2 additional income earners in a household to create the same value. So what are these skills? These skills we envision in the Portrait of a Graduate, and congratulations on adopting a Portrait of a Graduate as part of your strategy moving forward. Now the words change in every portrait because we do not approach this as a program. We approach this as the locally valued skills that are important to your community, to your business, to your economy, and to your workforce. But many of these skills here represent the top skills from the hundreds of portraits we've done in the United States. Words may change, but they're very, very similar. So what are these skills and how do we use them? I'm going to revisit the power of 2, the conversation of and when we talk about these skills, we talk about the purposeful and intentional integration of these durable skills with the essential academic knowledge. And that integration yields deeper learning. And the reason we talk about it as this purposeful and intentional integration is we don't think these skills are something that are often taught through direct teach. They're not taught on the 3rd Thursday of the month, but they're taught in the daily instruction in the things we do with kids. So what does this look like and what does the journey look like? As we look at the Portrait of a Graduate, this is the work we've just undertaken. And so this is about readiness. It's about how do we set the vision and get ready for this work. It is about community engagement, the definition of the durable skills, and the essential academic knowledge. Next, we really talk about portrait to practice. This is for the adults in the system. This is where we talk about alignment. And all alignment requires some shifts. Shifts in practice, shifts in leadership, shifts in educators. So what you do in the classroom, what you do with assessment, many of those other things are all in the portrait to practice space. Now, tomorrow, Dr. Shannon King and I will lead a workshop where we will talk about practical examples of how educators can embody those shifts in the classroom. Beyond practice, this is where it really gets important, and thank you for the presentation just before. This is where we get to impact. This is what we do with kids. So whether what we practice in our classrooms yields results with kids, portrait to impact is the activation of the learning and the skills. And when we see that, we see a system of evidence and measurement. So we start with evidence of student learning. We move through how students can demonstrate they have learned and are able to do the things that you expect with the knowledge and skills they've obtained. The next is my favorite, and that's application. That is applying the learning and skills in a new and novel context that may not be connected to direct teach. Now, we see this often through things like Cornerstone or Capstone-like activities, but there are many other ways. And then finally, measurement. And too often in the United States and systems that we've worked with around the world, measurement ends with a T, testing begins with a T. We cannot get out of this world without some type of measurement. It is valuable. We will have testing. But what does the measurement tell us? It's a comparative measurement of are we the best of the best of the worst, or the worst of the best? And how do we create more gains for our students? How much student learning is enough? So I'm going to ask you a simple question. Are you ready? Your students are ready, the future is ready, and let's do this. Thank you very much.